Are you a real estate investor who bought a rental property, flip, or short-term rental in cash, and now you're staring at the closing statement wondering, how the heck do I record this in QuickBooks? If so, this video is for you, because if you record this wrong, your land and building, closing costs, earnest money, and cash to close are probably all going to end up in the wrong place. That means messy books, bad reports, a frustrated CPA, and a tax time cleanup bill you probably didn't plan for. So by the end of this video, I'm going to show you, and you're going to know how to record a cash purchase in QuickBooks so that your QuickBooks are clean and your balance sheet makes sense and your closing statement ties back properly. Now, this video is specifically for a cash real estate purchase. A finance purchase has a few extra moving parts like the loan, escrow, lender charges, prepaid interest, stuff like that. So I'll cover that separately in a future video. I'm Thomas, the real estate bookkeeper. I help real estate investors get clean books and more profit. Today, we're going to learn how to record a cash real estate purchase in 3 steps. So step 1, set up the right chart of accounts. Step 2, record the journal entries needed for the purchase. Step 3, match those journal entries to the bank feed so your reconciliation stays clean. And if you want to use the same real estate chart of accounts I'm using in this video, you can download it for free at realestateBookkeeper.com or use the link in the description. Okay, let's get into it. The first thing we need is the right chart of accounts. This matters because real estate books can get messy real fast. You're not just tracking normal income and expenses with real estate. You may be dealing with rental income, repairs, capital improvements, closing costs, earnest money, escrow activity, property-specific reporting, land, buildings, loans, and more. And if your chart of accounts is not built correctly, every future transaction just makes things messier and harder to categorize. So in this example, we'll be recording a cash real estate purchase for a fictional property, 123 Oak Ridge Drive. We're going to use 7 accounts, and you can create these manually, or like I said, you can download the free real estate chart of accounts at realestateBookkeeper.com. So the first account is the checking account used to fund the purchase. In this example, we'll be using a fictional Chase checking account. The second account type is bank, the account type will be bank and the detail type will be checking, all right? So the second chart of accounts is building, and this is where we will record the portion of the purchase price allocated to the building. The account type will be fixed asset, the detail type is buildings. The third account is land. This is where we'll record the portion of the purchase price allocated to the land, and the account type here is fixed asset, the detail type is land. So that split matters a lot because, buildings can generally be depreciated, but land cannot. So if you lump everything together, your CPA has to clean that up later. Okay, fourth account, earnest money. This tracks the money you sent to the title company before closing, lock up the deal while you're doing due diligence. And the account type is other asset. The detail type will be other current assets. Fifth account is going to be purchase closing costs. This is where we will record the buyer closing costs that should be capitalized into the basis of the property. Okay, these aren't expenses. The account type is going to be fixed asset. The detail type is buildings. The sixth account is seller costs paid by the buyer. Sometimes as the buyer, you agree to pay certain seller side costs. We want to track those cleanly as well. The account type will be fixed asset and the detail type there is buildings. And the last, seventh account, seller concessions. This is for credits the seller gives you at closing. For this example, we'll use an other income account, the detail type, other miscellaneous income. There are different ways to set this up depending on how your CPA wants to see it. But the important thing is this: we're not just dumping the entire purchase of this property into one generic fixed asset account like I see all the time. Wrong. We're building clean books from the start. And this way, when tax time comes, your reports are actually going to be helpful to your CPA instead of creating more cleanup work, okay? So let's record the purchase. We're going to record the deal using 2 journal entries. The first journal entry records the earnest money deposit, and the second journal entry records the actual purchase at closing. We're using a fictional settlement statement here, 123 Oak Ridge Drive. The exact numbers on this statement are not the point. The point is the process. How to take the information from a closing statement like an ALTA or a HUD and record it cleanly in QuickBooks, all right? So let's start with the earnest money. On the settlement statement, we see an earnest money deposit of $5,000. This money was already sent to the title company before closing, right? So in QuickBooks, we need to show that the cash left the bank and became an asset called earnest money. It was actually a transfer from one asset account to another. So in QuickBooks, click New, create a new journal entry. You can also use Control-Alt-J if you use keyboard shortcuts. Set the date of the journal entry to the date the earnest money cleared your bank. Look at the statement if you need that. So this is important because later when we match to the bank feed, QuickBooks will have a much easier time finding the match if you use the date that the money cleared the bank. So for the journal number, I'll use EMD 123 Oak. For the memo, I'll write to record earnest money for the purchase of 123 Oak Ridge Drive, okay? Now, attach the source document. Ideally, this is going to be the receipt from the title company showing they received your earnest money. And if you don't have it, I'd give them a call and get it, because this is one of those small habits that separates messy books from clean books, which is what I want from you. Well, it's what I want for you. Don't rely on your memory. Use the documentation, okay? So let's record the journal entry. Let's debit earnest money, $5K. We'll credit Chase checking for the $5K. No problem. Now, if you're tracking properties using the customer field, put 123 Oak Ridge Drive here. There are a few ways to track properties in QuickBooks. I know you can use customers like we're doing here, classes, locations, even separate companies, depending on the situation. For this video, we're going to use the customer field so we can tag this activity to the property. I'll break down all the different property tracking methods in a future video because that topic deserves its own walkthrough. But the key point here is simple. Every line of this journal entry should be connected to the property, and we're going to do that using the customer field in this case, all right? So save and close. The earnest money is now recorded. Now we're going to record the actual closing. So this is the larger journal entry. For this example, we'll use the disbursement date from the settlement statement, June 17, 2024. So in QuickBooks, create another journal entry. For the journal number, I'll use PUR123 Oak for the purchase, right? And for the memo, I'll go to record cash purchase of 123 Oak Ridge Drive per the settlement statement. Now, before we enter the numbers, here's the key idea to understand. You're not going to blindly copy the settlement statement columns into QuickBooks. That ain't going to work. The settlement statement is a source document, but in QuickBooks, we're recording the accounting impact, double entry accounting, debits and credits. That means what assets did we acquire? What costs need to be capitalized? What credits reduced the amount due? What cash actually left the bank? All right, that's the clean way to think about it. And if settlement statements and all these debits and credits feel confusing, don't worry. I'm going to make a separate video on how to read a real estate closing statement, ALTAs, HUDs, all that from a bookkeeping and accounting perspective. But for now, just remember this. We're using the closing statement as our source document, but we're entering the transaction based on what needs to happen in the books for the accounting, okay? All right, now back to our journal entry. Let's enter the debits first. Debit building for $200,000 and debit land for $45,000. In this QuickBooks file, I'm using my real estate chart of accounts, which is why these accounts are already organized specifically for rental property purchases. The building account is called Real Estate Buildings Original Cost, and the land account is called Real Estate Land. So original cost sits under buildings, and buildings sits under the broader real estate category. That structure matters because it gives the client a much cleaner balance sheet, especially once they start tracking multiple rental properties. And if you want the same setup, the free download is linked in the video description. Now, you usually won't see that land and building are split directly on the settlement statement. The settlement statement just shows the total purchase price here, which is $245,000. So for the land and building split, you might use the county appraisal record or the lender appraisal, tax assessment details, a cost segregation study, or an allocation provided by the CPA. In this example, we're going to be using the county appraisal record. Of course, this is an example because it clearly shows $200,000 for the building and $45,000 for the land. So together, those add up to $245,000, which ties back to the purchase price shown here on the settlement statement. Okay, so next, debit purchase closing costs for $4,005.46. We'll put that into purchase closing costs, original cost, because these are the costs of acquiring the property, so we're adding them to the property's basis. We get that $4,005.46 from the buyer side of the settlement statement. The buyer debit subtotal is $249,005.46, and the purchase price is $245,000. So the difference is $4,005.46 of buyer closing costs. Next, debit seller costs paid by the buyer for any seller costs the buyer agreed to pay. In this file, the account is called Purchase Closing Costs, fees buyer agrees to pay on behalf of seller. In this example, we won't see any seller costs paid by the buyer, so we'll leave that at 0. Next, we'll enter the credits. Credit earnest money for $5,000. That clears out the earnest money asset because the deposit has now been applied to the purchase. You can see that earnest money credit here on the buyer side of the settlement statement. Then, credit seller concessions received at closing for $2,500. You can see that seller credit here on the settlement statement. That records the credit the seller gave the buyer at closing. Finally, credit Chase checking for $241,505.46. You can see that number here on the settlement statement as the amount due from the buyer. This is the amount the buyer still had to bring to closing after the earnest money deposit and seller credit were applied. So now the entry balances. Total debits are $249,005.46, and total credits are the same, $249,005.46. Before you save, attach the settlement statement PDF. That's your source document. If your CPA, bookkeeper, lender, or future self ever needs to understand this journal entry, the documentation is right there if you attach it. Finally, save and close. Now, the cash real estate purchase has been recorded in QuickBooks, and now we need to match the journal entries to the actual bank transactions. This is where a lot of people mess up, okay? They create the journal entry and then later they see the bank transaction come through and they categorize it again, which of course duplicates the transaction in the books and on the registers. And then the books are wrong. So we don't want to add these from the bank feed. We want to match them. I'll show you. Go to the Transaction Center in QuickBooks, select the bank account where the funds came from. In this case, it's going to be Chase checking. Find the earnest money transaction for $5,000. In this case, $5,000. If QuickBooks recognizes the journal entry, it may just suggest a match, which is what you want, but review the details and make sure it's matching to the earnest money journal entry we created and not something else. If so, click match. And if QuickBooks does not suggest the match automatically, you might have to click into the transaction manually and find the journal entry and select it, okay? Now repeat the same process for cash to close amount. That's this big number here. Find the bank transaction, match it to the purchase journal entry, and again, do not add it as an expense and do not categorize it. Match it to your journal entry. This is how you can keep your books clean, all right? And once both transactions are matched, the bank feed and journal entries are connected. They are married up, and now the reconciliation is going to be easier, all right? So let's take a look at what we built. Go to your balance sheet and you'll see the property has been recorded. The building is recorded separately than the land, as you can see, okay? Take a sip of coffee. The purchase closing costs are capitalized. The earnest money account is cleared out. The bank account reflects the actual cash that left the account, and the whole thing ties back to the settlement statement, which we attach, right? Okay, so this is what clean bookkeeping looks like for real estate. So this matters because real estate investors need books that do more than just track deposits and expenses. You need books that help you understand your properties, prepare for tax time, and give your CPA clean reports they can actually use. When your books are clean, tax time gets easier, your CPA has better information, you have better information, your reports make more sense, and you can make better decisions as an investor, ultimately become more profitable. If you want the free QuickBooks chart of accounts I used in this video, go to realestatebookkeeper.com or click the link in the description. The goal for this channel is simple. No more guessing in QuickBooks, okay? No more tax time cleanup panic for you. No, you found this channel. You're going to have clean reports your CPA can actually use. And if you want more real estate bookkeeping walkthroughs like this, subscribe to The Real Estate Bookkeeper. In future videos, I will cover financed real estate purchases, settlement statements, rental income, repairs versus improvements, property tracking, and all kinds of monthly bookkeeping workflows for real estate investors to help you out, okay? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.